The Story of a Raven and a Swan. Once upon a time, there lived a raven who was as black as coal. He was very envious of the swan because her feathers were as white as snow. The raven one day got an idea. He thought he too would become like Swan if he lived like a swan. The foolish bird planned to swim and dive in the water all day long. He decided that he would even eat the plants that grow in the water. So he left his home in the woods and flew down to live on the lakes. But though he washed and washed himself all day long, his feathers remained as black as ever. He almost got drowned by the end of the day. Ha ha ha! The stupid bird then ate the water weeds, but the food didn't agree with him. So he got thinner and thinner as days went. And one day, he died. So the moral here is, a change of habits will not alter nature.
Hi friends, did you have a lot of fun with the videos? Do you want more? Subscribe to our channel to have more fun with me. Click here to continue watching more such beautiful sing-song rhymes.